Attention business owners, if you do email marketing in your business, then today's video is for you. In 2024, Google and Yahoo are going to get more stricter with some email compliance requirements. And if you want your emails to continue to hit people's inboxes, then you have some changes that you might need to make in your email service provider and your domain host. I'm Jess, Tech Fairy and General Business BFF, and in today's video, I'm going to break down for you what the 4 requirements are and what you actually need to be doing to remain compliant in 2024. So let's dive into it. So the first thing that you would have heard about recently is something that's been happening since the 1st of December. So you might already be aware of that. And that is that Google has started to delete old accounts from their system. So basically, if someone hasn't logged into their @Gmail address in the last 2 years, or they haven't sent any emails from their @Gmail address, then Google is going to delete their account. So that's why everyone kind of got in a bit of a frenzy over the last month, and everyone's been talking about list cleaning, and that's where that comes from. So if you've kind of not heard about that somehow, then it is time for you to actually go and clean your email list. So you're going to want to be very careful with people that show up in your system as a hard bounce, as well as look at your email addresses that have reported you as spam to make sure that you delete these from your system. In 2024, specifically from February 1st, Google has introduced additional email compliance requirements, and there's specifically 4 of them, and I'm going to break them down for you one by one. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about and you need to get this in place, but you don't want to do it yourself or you can't, I'm also going to tell you at the end how I can help you. Okay, there are 4 things that you need to be having in place to continue to send marketing emails to your email list. The first thing is a custom domain. The second thing is that your emails need to be authenticated. So you need to have your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records set up. The third thing you need is a one-click unsubscribe option. And personally, I am very happy about the fact that someone is making this a requirement. And your spam complaint rate has to remain below 0.3%. Now, Google themselves have said that this applies to people that send more than 5,000 emails in one day. So if you right now have a very small email list, then you might be tempted to think, okay, this doesn't apply to me. I'm going to do that whenever my list actually hits 5,000 people. But I don't recommend that you do that, because these are the kind of techie things that people often tend to forget about. And then, you take part in a bundle or you speak at a summit, and suddenly your email list overnight increases by 2,000 people. And then you have a regular newsletter that's scheduled and you just send it out, and suddenly you're blacklisted for spam because you forgot to go back into your system to authenticate your emails properly, and then you're kind of a bit screwed. So I would solidly recommend that if you use email marketing right now in your business, you go to set this up, even if your list right now has less than 5,000 people on it. Just imagine that you're launching, maybe at some point next year, you have an email list of 2,000 people, so you didn't set this up, but then you're having a live launch. So you send one email to people in the mornings to let them know it's the last day of cart. You send a second email after lunch to remind them that they only have 8 hours left to go. And then you send them another email in the evenings to let them know that, hey, in 1 hour you will have missed this offer. And suddenly you send 6,000 emails in a day to your list of 2,000 people, and then this is going to start affecting you. So don't put this off. There's absolutely no point to it. It's actually a pretty quick thing to do if you know what you're doing. And it's not worthwhile risking to run into the issue in 3 or 6 months down the line when you've forgotten that this is actually a requirement. So let's go through these 4 requirements one by one. Requirement number 1 is the custom sending domain. But what on earth does this actually mean? So basically, you are not technically supposed to send mass emails from an email address that is an @gmail.com, @hotmail.com address. They are for personal use and they are not for business use. Most email service providers for the last few years have basically not allowed you to send emails from an address like that anyways. So for most people that do email marketing, they are not going to be affected by this because they already have a .com that they're running their business from, and they already have an email address like info@ or hello@ set up that they're actually using to do email marketing with. So if you own a domain and you send email addresses from @yourdomain.com, then this point does not apply to you. You don't have to do anything to be compliant for this point. If, however, you were with an email service provider that has let you send emails from an @gmail.com address yourself, then this is something that you're going to have to take action on. So what exactly do you actually need to do? Number one, if you don't own a domain, you have to actually go and purchase a domain. I have a page on my website where I recommend all of my favorite platforms for stuff like this, and it's at jessicadorneeden.com/tools. And there I recommend who's my favorite people to get stuff like domains and hosting from specifically. So you need to get a domain in place. That's the first thing. You don't technically need a full-on hosting package if your domain host allows you to buy an email package, or if you're going to be using something like Google Workspace to get an email address at yourdomain.com. I think we have 3 email addresses in Google Workspace, and we pay something like 30 some euros a month. So it is not too expensive to get set up with one Google Workspace email address. And then basically you also get Google Drive storage and other things for your business. So it is actually quite a practical thing to have, which is why I would rather set up my email addresses with Google Workspace than with some other email package that might be limited as to how much stuff you can store on your email address. And then people send you attachments and things, and then your email inbox gets full and then you can't receive any more emails. So I prefer to use something like Google Workspace personally. And then once you have the email address like hello@yourdomain.com, then you need to go into your email service provider and you need to actually set up this email address as the send from email address. And then they're going to give you some additional settings that you need to put in place on the domain side, and they are point 2. So there's 3 authentication and security settings that you can basically set up on your domain side as well as in your email service provider. And they have, abbreviations that you might see in the settings section. One of them is SPF, one of them is DKIM, and one of them is DMARC. DMARC is a little bit more complex to set up, and it's more like a security thing. But basically, what do these settings do? When an email gets sent from your email service provider to someone's Gmail account, Gmail is going to check that all of the details on the sending side check out. So it is basically like putting a return address on an envelope that you're sending in the post. So when I send an envelope to somebody, they might receive it and they'll be like, oh, who sent me this? And they turn around the envelope, or at least in Germany, we put it, often on the back. They turn around the envelope and they're like, oh, it's from Jess. Jess sent me a letter. Okay, this seems good to open. Like, I'm going to read it. So it's similar to this. Basically, when Gmail receives then email from your email service provider, it's going to check the details. Who sent this? And is this a legit email address, or is this likely to be offensive spam, clickbait, hacked emails with dodgy links in it or whatnot? So these settings are going to be very important, and you're going to need to have them set up properly. And DMARC is a little bit more finicky, so that might be the one that takes you a little bit longer to get around. The third thing that you need to have in place is a one-click unsubscribe. So I am super happy about this because I hated when I want to unsubscribe from someone's emails and then I first off have to go and enter my email address, like as if I didn't just click a link in the email and that I clicked a link in an email sent to me. So I'm actually super happy about this. You shouldn't have to do anything about that because that is your email service provider. So just make sure that, your email service provider, if you're using some kind of indie email platform, they are actually taking action on this. They all should, and all the major providers are already doing things. So I don't think that you would really need to check if you're with ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit, because they have a gazillion customers combined and they would not want their customers' emails or their domain to basically be blacklisted as spam, because that would also hurt them. So there's absolutely no point for them not to take action on this. And here's the fourth thing that you need to worry about. And this is something that isn't a one-time thing. You need to keep looking at this. Basically, your spam complaint rate. So how many people hit the button in their email client that says report as spam, that has to stay below 0.3%. And that is why I would no longer say that list cleaning is something you might do once a year, but I would actually make this a quarterly activity in my business. And if I send a lot of emails, then I would potentially even do this more regularly than that. 0.3% isn't actually very much. Let me do the maths on it. Hold the line. Okay, so if you are, let's say, at the minimum threshold where these rules start getting really important, which is 5,000 emails in a day, let's assume you have exactly 5,000 subscribers. So each email you send goes out to 5,000 people. If just 15 of them, 15 out of 5,000 hit the button that says report as spam and unsubscribe, not because they really think that you're spam, but people are lazy. So instead of scrolling down and being like, okay, let me find the unsubscribe link at the bottom of the email and clicking that, people are just like, ugh. And the report as spam and unsubscribe button is like right at the top in most email clients. So it's like a one-click action. It's not an open the email, scroll down, and then go and click unsubscribe. So people are just lazy AF. And that's why I'm concerned about this, because 0.3% is not very much. So if you send, let's say you're launching and you're sending some sales emails and you have 15 people that get the third email about the sale and they're now annoyed, they're just going to hit the report spam and unsubscribe button, and that will push you above the spam complaint rate. And then you risk for your emails to be blacklisted for the laziness of other people. So as far as that is concerned, I would very much think about the content that you put in your emails, and I would also think about how are you going to handle the sale. So something that I do when I work on most client sales is that I include a link somewhere in that email, not all the way at the bottom. I actually often put it, right at the top, or I put it in the first paragraph where I send a very honest bit that says, hey, by the way, I am launching my program, whatever the name of the program is. So in the next few days, I'm going to be sending more emails about this thing. I actually just got an email a couple of days ago from, I think it was Ali Abdaal, who's launching his book right now. And he basically just put right at the beginning of the email, hey, I'm launching my book right about now, and I'm going to be sending you more emails in the next few days about the book launch. And I'm already aware of the book. And if I want to get it, I know where to find it, and I don't need to receive extra emails about this book. I haven't even considered it. I'm doing a book club for next year, and I have 52 books to read already. So I think I'm going to be fully booked out, literally, for next year. So to me, this isn't relevant. I really appreciated it. It's nothing to do with him or his content. I think it's amazing. But I don't want to get more emails about this book. So I just said, please don't send me any more emails about this book. So I can continue to receive his newsletter. I can continue to stay in the loop because I'm really interested in everything he talks about. But I am just not going to hear about his book. And that is something that is possible to set up in pretty much every email service provider. For some of them, it is easier than for others. But I would strongly recommend that now when you're launching, you are literally potentially in the first paragraph or even at the top of the email in smaller text, you are including a link that allows people to opt out of your sale, because people get really annoyed when they keep being sold something that they've already decided isn't really in their interest right now. They're not at all interested in it. If you send people that are not even on the fence or not even considering it 20 more emails about your product or service, they don't give a damn about it, and they're not suddenly going to change their mind to buy something that doesn't fit into their business plan, or it doesn't fit into their life right now, or it's not something they're interested in working on right now. So a prime example would be you are a relationship coach and you're going to be selling a program for people that are struggling in their relationship with partners, but you have people on your list that are single. Give them the option to please not hear about your offer for people that are in a relationship and struggling, because there's absolutely no point. They are not your target group. So this is why giving people the option to opt out of a specific series of emails, or simply telling people that, hey, if you don't want to hear from me anymore, please just unsubscribe. And, feel free to now and again put the unsubscribe link actually like at the beginning of your email. Just say like, hey, by the way, I just want to remind you, if this topic is no longer of interest to you, just unsubscribe. Because I would not unsubscribe from people that I am generally interested in what they're speaking about, and neither will other people that actually read their emails. So this isn't a loss in any which way, shape, or form. Okay, so I realize that a lot of people right now are thinking, what, another freaking thing that I don't have the time to do, or I really don't understand how it works. And that's why I did the following. I open 20 slots in my calendar for January to set up those email authentication bits that you have to set up in your email service provider, as well as on the domain side, to make sure that in 2024, your emails are going to keep hitting Gmail and Yahoo inboxes. So if you can't be bothered to figure out how to do that, or you don't have the time, then I'm going to pop a link in the description. There is only 20 sessions, so if they get booked up, then, that's the end of it, because I just don't have more time in between other client stuff. So yeah, if you want to get help and you just want someone to do it for you, it's $75, and you can just literally book it via the link in the description, and then I will set up everything for you. That's it from me for email requirements. I'll be back shortly with more techie stuff.